And just for confirmation, you left this morning at 5.
She was sound asleep.
Okay. And she told you she's going to go bike riding?
She bikes every day, yeah.
Okay.
She's going to bike when she gets up.
So she was asleep in the bed when you left. Did you say bye to her or anything?
No, she's sound asleep.
Okay.
Always sleeping.
So the last time you probably actually saw her was this morning. That was it, right?
Yeah, I've been in Broomfield. I got a big job up there. I've been there all day.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't hear. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Hello, happy Mother's Day everyone from Boulder, Colorado. Welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic community in true crime. Today we remember one mother in particular who deserves and needs real justice, almost exactly 4 years after her murder in Maysville, near Salida in Colorado. Of course, I'm talking about SUZANNE MORPHEW. We're going to go into the fabric of the SUZANNE MORPHEW case in this analysis, the first in a mini-series of 5. The next one will be the fabric of the Casey Anthony case. I'll be taking you to actual footage that I've recorded on site, boots on the ground. Now, I was determined to be in Poncha Springs or Moffat for the SUZANNE MORPHEW remembrance and tree planting that was yesterday, but it seems the forces of nature and the fates have decided I shouldn't be there. First with my flight being cancelled, even the rescheduled flight seemed to disappear, and then with rain and thunderstorms here in Colorado on Mother's Day today. I will try again tomorrow to head out. Hopefully the weather will clear a little by then, and I'll then take a rental. It's about a 3 hours drive from here to Moffat. In the meantime, I want to update you with some new insights into the fabric of the Morphew case. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you find this analysis useful, interesting, intelligent, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So this was Barry Morphew's alibi. Have you ever seen this before? Now, although I spent 2 nights at the same Holiday Inn Express where Barry stayed, I wasn't actually able to find the retaining wall. I've never actually seen the retaining wall before on Via Vara. Have you? And so yesterday, coming straight off the plane, a friend took me straight to this wall and we sort of walked along it. It's less than 1 mile from the hotel, from the Holiday Inn Express. It's right beside a large, busy, tolled highway that takes you to Denver Airport going in one direction and to Boulder in the other. Now, I expected a little small wall, maybe about the size of a car, but instead the wall Barry was supposed to install is actually quite long and has 2 sections. This is the one side. This is the view from the other side. There are pipes coming out the bottom of the wall in places, sort of drainage pipes. There's also a sewage drain nearby. And so when you walk along this wall, you kind of get a sense of the type of work that someone in landscaping would do, the techniques that they would have, their knowledge of soil and water, and the ability to excavate and to move rocks around. And, I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing myself. When Barry went to Broomfield, he never worked on the wall. That Sunday didn't work on the wall. And Broomfield also has regulations prohibiting construction work on Sundays without a permit, and he didn't have a permit. So if he didn't work on the wall, why are we even at the wall? Why are we paying attention to it? Again, if the whole business in Broomfield is a misdirection, why are we looking at it? What's the point? Well, not so fast. This is the sort of work Barry did. As I say, when you stand there, you get a real sense of it. And what kind of work did he do? He dug, shifted, sculpted the earth. He would need to move soil and gravel, and it would involve excavation, shovels, tools, and construction equipment. What does he do? He reshapes the landscape. That's literally the definition of landscaping. And he does that in order to cover over the original in some preferred or more practical end result. When someone does landscaping, you end up with a landscape that shouldn't leave behind marks and scars. It should look almost like the natural landscape, right? Now, this expertise, moving rocks and changing the soil, knowing how to dig and cover excavations so you don't know they were even there, is potentially a very valuable skill for someone wishing to dispose of a body. Now, what's quite interesting is Morgan Gentile spoke about exactly this, that Barry had said to her that he would know how to get rid of a body. I'm just trying to get the exact text. He said, Morgan stated that she commented that pigs could eat an entire human body in 2 hours, and that might be a reference to one of the movies dealing with Hannibal Lecter. And then Barry responded by saying that he would be able to bury a body and it would never be found. And that was a comment he made apparently to Morgan Gentile on May 9th. The other thing that's interesting is Barry told Morgan about the Broomfield job sometime in mid-April 2020. And Morgan said the job was supposed to take place between April 23rd and April 30th. But then she wasn't sure of the exact date. And then Barry changed the job to take place on or about the first week of May. Barry then rescheduled the job to begin on May 11th, 2020. And so this shifting of that job also is quite interesting, given the way it's sort of framed as, he had to get up early that morning, had to drive out there, to be there virtually when the sun came up. And then when he gets there, he doesn't really do anything. We also know in the Fotis Doulos case, where Fotis worked in construction, his wife was wealthy and had money. Jennifer Doulos' body was never found. And there were also multiple trash runs to another part of town in that case. Jennifer Doulos' disappearance on May 24th preceded Suzanne's by almost a year. One wonders whether the killer in the Suzanne MORPHEW case didn't take some notes from the Jennifer Doulos case. Many of the same aspects are present here. In an interview with the cops, Barry suggested the Broomfield job was both a big job and urgent, and yet he kept postponing it. But the key word there is big job.
That was it, right?
Yeah, I've been in Broomfield. I got a big job up there. I've been there all day.
This statement from Barry, just those two words, being a big job, is actually very important, and we'll come back to that in a moment, why it's such an important insight into this case. At the end of the day, his trip to Broomfield early on Sunday, as I say, achieved nothing. Firstly, because he spent a total of less than half an hour at the wall retaining site. According to the affidavit, he was there from 11:57 a.m. to 12:25 p.m. And that was it. That's less than half an hour. And then he returned to his hotel room, where he spent the rest of the afternoon, in the hotel room. I think he said he was watching television. And so why would you get up so early just to go to a hotel room and watch television? I suspect that he was actually sleeping for some of this time besides doing other things. I think it was also mentioned that he'd apparently brought the wrong tools. Now, in her second interview with the cops, note not the first, in the second, Morgan was a lot more forthcoming. She mentioned the chlorine smell, she mentioned seeing an insurance document, and that odd comment Barry had made about knowing how to bury a body. Now, this is where the relevance of Barry's work and work skills come in. Remember, Barry made this comment while actually working with rocks and creating a rock beach at a work site near Salida. He actually made this comment while they were driving from one work site to another. Barry made this comment in the context of his excavation work. Elsewhere in the affidavit, someone compliments Barry as being a master at driving a Bobcat. On May 17th, 2020, CBI agent Kevin Kobach interviewed Brad Oswald, an Indiana resident. Oswald was also the deputy sheriff of Hamilton County. Remember, Barry and Suzanne were both originally from Indiana. And this is what he said. Barry is an excellent skid load operator and can do incredible things with a skid loader. Oswald said that Barry could have easily buried Suzanne and that Barry is smart enough to turn off his phone or leave it at home. Some of the first images we ever saw of Barry was of Barry driving his Bobcat. The Bobcat also features prominently on the actual day I think Suzanne disappeared, Saturday, May 9th. It's even possible she may have died even earlier than that. But you see the Bobcat going back and forth, firstly on Saturday at around 1:30, and then an hour later he's still pulling the Bobcat around. Curiously, for the big construction job in Broomfield, Barry took a few shovels along, but left the Bobcat at home. Have you ever thought about that? Why didn't he take the Bobcat to Broomfield? Now, we know that the Broomfield site was kind of quite extensively investigated. They wanted to know what he was putting in the trash. They wanted to know what was going on there. And so a lot of people's attention was in Broomfield. But he left the Bobcat at home. Now, we know the MORPHEW home also had a retaining wall around the driveway area. A small part of it can be seen to the right of this image. But this is a better view. Some have speculated that the evidence may have been disposed inside or behind the wall in Broomfield, some evidence. And while tranquilizer needles and potions may have been disposed during Barry's infamous 5 trash runs, again, it's harkens to the Photos Doulos case. I think it's more likely, if anything, was hidden inside a retaining wall. Couldn't this have occurred at the retaining wall by Puma Path? But what does the affidavit say about cadaver alerts, about evidence related to Suzanne Morphew's body? Well, guess what? All 3 cadaver dogs alerted in the west area of the Puma Path driveway, where and this is important, where the flatbed trailer was parked, the trailer that Barry used to transport the Bobcat, as I understand it. On the bed of the trailer was gravel and dirt, and he had the canines alerted. As far as I know, also a footprint was found. All 3 out of 3 cadaver dogs alerted on the Bobcat, and one of the cadaver dogs jumped into the Bobcat and tried to lay down on the driver's seat. In other words, tried to alert in the seat. The shovels carried into the hotel in Broomfield seemed to be about waving a flag saying, "Hey, look at these excavation tools." But who takes construction tools into a hotel? And I went into that hotel quite a few times. That very lobby, there's a camera right there. That's how Barry was captured, and I couldn't imagine walking in there with construction tools. Who would do that in any hotel, but certainly not that hotel. Also, what construction equipment is our gaze being drawn away from? Now, in terms of the cadaver search, this is from the affidavit. On May 23, 2020, search teams along with canines and canine handlers, it was from Bloodhound Man Tracker's NecroSearch, searched the 19507 Puma Path property. During this search, 3 different canines were used. Each of the 3 canines were ran blindly and individually during the search. On the west area of the driveway parking area, where a flatbed trailer and Bobcat skid steer are parked, all 3 canines trained final response alerted. And that just says here the canines have been trained in a specific way to alert their handlers when they detect possible human decomposition or remains. In other words, cadaver traces, cadaver alerts. These are cadaver dogs. And all 3 of them alerted on the top of the trailer. It should be noted on the bed of the trailer there's gravel and dirt. Now, didn't this gravel and dirt come off or come from the Bobcat? Isn't that where it came from? All 3 canines again alerted on the Bobcat, and one of the canines jumped into the Bobcat and tried to lay down on the driver's seat. The Bobcat located on the Morphew's property is identified as a 2018 Bobcat compact skid steer, model number S5 90 and then a product identification number. The flatbed trailer and Bobcat skid steer are parked directly next to each other. So do you see the last piece of the puzzle in Broomfield is actually an essential piece if you follow what Barry does for a living to its logical conclusion. It takes you to the Bobcat that should have been Broomfield for the big job, but wasn't. Why wasn't it? Thank you for listening. Again, have a wonderful Mother's Day, and I'll see you guys next time.